Hi everyone, this is Genevieve, and for my instructional project, I want to show us how to make a Verden Bestes cake. Now, this is Norway's national cake, and Verden Bestes means world's best. Oops. The ingredients that we'll need are butter, sugar, all-purpose flour, baking powder, large eggs, whole milk, sliced almonds, heavy cream, vanilla bean, and fresh strawberries or bananas. For this recipe, I decided I would want to stick to strawberries. I love strawberries and they are my favorite. Alrighty, before we get started, let's prep. First, you want to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Line a 8 by 12 metal pan with parchment paper. I want you to mix the 1/3 cup of flour and teaspoon of baking powder. Set that aside. Take the 5 large eggs, separate the yolks from the whites, and then slice your strawberries and add some sugar to sweeten them. Time to mix. Starting off with the cake batter in a clean bowl, using an electric beater, beat the softened butter and add 2/3 cups of sugar until creamy. Now you're going to take that flour and baking powder that we put to the side and we're going to bring it in. We're going to gradually add that as we mix the butter and the sugar. Gradually add the dry ingredients at low speed. It'll take a while and you'll notice it'll start to become a little bit more clumpy and dry, and that's okay. After you're done incorporating the flour and baking powder, you were going to want to add the egg yolks and the 1/3 cup of whole milk. And again, mix that until it's fully incorporated. And what you want to do at the end is take the batter that you've made and that metal pan that we set aside with the parchment paper, we're going to want to spread on the batter evenly. For me, this was the hardest part because the batter was so thick and heavy that it kind of moved around. It wasn't as easily to spread. So a little difficulty, but as you can see in the top picture, I eventually got it. The next thing we're going to make is the meringue. Now, in a separate bowl, we're going to take the egg whites and that cup of sugar, and we're going to mix those two together. This is going to take some time, but eventually what we're looking for is more of a glossy look, and we want to have soft peaks. The bottom left picture is the meringue, and that's kind of the consistency I was looking for. It took me about 10-15 minutes, but patience. And then once the meringue is ready, you're going to take that and spread it on top of the cake batter that you just did in the first picture. Spread it in evenly, and then we're going to just throw some sliced almonds on there, top it off real good. And then we're going to move on to the vanilla cream. In another bowl, we're going to take the half vanilla bean. We're going to mix that with heavy cream and beat that for about 3 to 5 minutes or until the mix becomes a more creamy texture. And that's the picture on the bottom right. Go ahead and set that aside. Now it's time to bake. In the oven, we baked our cake and meringue for about 30 to 35 minutes. And as you can see, the meringue puffed up a little bit. And what you'll also notice is that it'll kind of slightly turn brown. When we're done, we want to make that cake cool before we add the vanilla cream and everything else. When it's done cooling, we're going to cut the cake in half through the middle, just like you see on that top left picture. We're going to take our cream. We're going to be very generous and just spread it on the first layer. As you can see, I spread it on the side that's on the plate. And then I took my strawberries, put it on top of the cream. And then what I did was I took the other half of the cake with the meringue side up, and placed it right on top of that first layer. The key here is to chill it for an hour so everything's nice and chill and cool. And what you have at the end is a delicious cake. This has crunchy almonds, crisp meringue. The cake is nice and dense and moist. It's not too sweet, and it's just delicious. I've tried making it one time before, and I just fell in love with it to the point where I was like, I want to do this again. And I hope that if you guys get the chance, you'll try it out